Question for Coach?
Dean, when Brad was a player at Wake Forest, did you envision him being a coach one day and maybe even working alongside him like you are now?
Well, I never thought about working alongside him, but easy call that he was going to be a coach. I mean, just incredibly cerebral guy, important to him, cared about his teammates, made everybody around him better, constantly, studying the game, and then he was an off the field guy too. So when somebody's really doing everything right, you're like, hey, if that guy's going to get into coaching, he'd be a great one because super GPA and doing all the right things, going to class and everything off the field as well. So real easy call that this guy would be a coach.
Did you give Coach Stoops a recommendation during the process of hiring him?
I really didn't. I know Coach was kind of investigating a few guys, and I don't know exactly where he was in the process. I know he had talked with a few guys, and I know he had Coach House meet with some guys to interview them kind of off campus in conjunction with recruiting. That's all I really knew about it. But at one point, Coach had a staff meeting, was just asking about certain guys, probably that he had interest in. Hey, does anybody know this guy? Does anybody know this guy? And just all of a sudden, out of the blue, he goes, "Anybody know Brad White?" Brad White. I kind of know Brad White, Coach. I've coached him, and then he GA'd, and then I helped him get over at Murray, obviously with the OVC connection. And been to Indianapolis and stayed at his house and studied some of the fire zone stuff that the Colts were doing when I was at EKU, and been to the convention, and babysat his kids, and so I kind of knew Brad White. So it was really neat. Coach asked that, and then he was actually on his way that day that Coach asked that question. So it was not me going to Coach Stoops and saying, "Hey, I got a good guy for you." I really had no idea what Brad was doing. I wasn't aware of the, I'm kind of a moron. I got ball and then go to the house. I really wasn't aware what was going on with the Colts and that he may not have a job.
Dean, I know you've spent a lot of time in the secondary, but what's it been like kind of this offseason to move back there and kind of switch position groups?
It's really coming home. I enjoyed. Last year was my 30th year. I coached the running backs one year for Rich Rodriguez when I was at Glenville State College, and I coached the tight ends at UNC Charlotte, and then I coached the outside backers here. So the other 27 years I've been in the secondary. So it was really nice to get back in that room and where everything makes a lot more sense to me than some of the other stuff that was that I had to really work at to get to learn it.
How does it work with you, Steve, and Mark kind of all back there with that defensive background and all the voices in that room now?
Well, there's one voice in that room, and that's Coach Stoops, so that's the first thing that's got to be done. And I purposely hired a guy when I was at Eastern to coach the secondary that never coached the secondary, because I wanted it coached exactly how I wanted it coached, because that's the one thing I knew, So that's a thing that we'll have to work through. And I've told the kids when I've been separated with them a time or two, most of the time it's been me and Coach Klink all in there together. So and Coach Klink knows how Coach Stoops wants it coached. So I've been able to catch a lot of that as we go. But the time or two where I've been in the meeting room with just the safeties, which we've done it just twice here in the spring. Most of the time we've been together. It's the first thing I've told them is, "Hey guys, I'm gonna coach you how I've been coaching it, and if I say a term wrong or a technique that Coach Stoops don't like, we'll get it corrected and we'll make sure we get right in line and do it that way." So it's a little bit of a balancing act, but it's really good because even though I've been coaching a secondary 27 years, to hear Coach Klink, teach maybe the same thing just a little bit differently or use different words, and then to hear Coach Stoops, every time he's coaching those guys, I'm running down there to hear what he's telling them, So it's it's not hard because it's all the same stuff that I've been doing. It's just a matter of making sure I'm getting it done the way Coach Stoops wants it and using the right terms.
Dean, have you ever coached a 24-year-old sophomore like Max?
I don't know. It's a good question. I don't think so. That might be a record for me.
Does the age help at all? The maturity, being a little older, than making that adjustment?
I hope what helps him. You never know, but I hope what helps him is the fact that he played Australian rules football, so he's in stadiums. I'm guessing, I don't know for sure. 80,000, 100,000 maybe. you know, people. So, and that's their football, you know. So he's been on TV, and you know, when it kind of got out that we were recruiting Max, you know, the Australian kids that I've coached and known, they know who he is. You know, it's not like, you know, knowing Peyton Manning or knowing Tom Brady. He wasn't that big in that, you know, in that Australian rules football, but he was a professional player, and they knew who he was, you know. So I just think being in that environment, I think has to help him when we, you know, get on the road to go play Florida or play, you know, someplace with an adverse crowd.
Dean, is it a little scary as the special teams coach to know you're going in and you'll have new specialists, you know,
absolutely,
all across the board?
Absolutely. You know, that is, you know, it's to special teams as the quarterback is to the offense. You know, so you know, you're talking about you know how are we going to be as a kickoff? You know, with Austin, you know, I really had to be concerned about covering maybe, you know, depending on how much we scored, but you know, maybe we got to cover 1 or 2 kicks because the rest of them are going to be non-returnable. You know, and the same thing with Matt. I mean, we had so many non-returnable. He had such good hang time, or it was a pooch situation and it was a non-returnable, you know, punt. So that's huge, is having a new punter and a new kicker. And you know, are those guys going to be able to be as successful as Austin, as Matt were for us, you know, last year? That's a big question mark, and no doubt a concern.
Any thoughts on the kind of rules idea they've kind of tossed around, thinking about on kickoffs?
Yeah, you know, Louis just told me about that the other day. I'm still trying to figure out the ones we got right now. So I'll wait and see if that, you know, comes to fruition, and then we'll worry about, do we need to, you know, change anything? Is there anything we need to do schematically, you know, because of that? I assume you're talking about the fair catch thing. Yeah, I'm gonna wait and see on all that.
All righty, folks. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.